beautiful beings. Hello, dear friends, wholeness. This is in our Silvertree. Welcome to the runes of Silvertree. And for you, you've probably watched my last week's video, but for me, it's been a while. Sometimes I like to make 2 or 3 videos ahead of time, ahead of schedule, because I just I like to be present and be in flow of the messages that I feel inspired to share with you. So I hope all is well. I hope everyone had a wonderful, very reflective, very grounding full moon. I hope everyone has done what they felt pulled to during that portal opening and closing. We are entering into a new moon energy in a few days. So I hope may this message find you well. So the title of this video, or the topic rather, for this message today is discovering your personal, unique language with the land. So what is your unique land language? Now, you're probably asking, well, what do you mean? What do you mean the language of the land? And I have to say, this message came through as an inspiration for me. I went on a beautiful hike. It's been several weeks since I've been on a hike, and I went with a mother and a daughter. And so it was, beautiful, feminine, soft, feminine energy. And we went on this 3-mile, I believe 6-mile hike. And because we went up and then to the beautiful stream of water, this little stream, rather, not quite a river, but nonetheless, it was a beautiful experience. And I also was inspired to talk about this. This morning I went into a 45-minute meditation, and I opened up the doors and windows. It is getting it's getting warmer here in where I live. And needless to say, I automatically tuned into the language of the birds. I wanted to just tune into the sounds of their chirping and the rhythms and the speed of their language and how they're communicating with each other. So I sat there and and it was different, several different bird calls, several different bird songs, some of very high pitch, some of very low pitch, some of them very fast, others very slow and very repetitive speech. And I could hear when I decided to tune in and to open to their language, I could hear in the far distance, not so incredibly far, but in the far in the far distance, I could hear the response to their call. And I've done this exercise, I think about maybe over 2 years ago, where I went to a park and I sat by my favorite tree and my favorite location, favorite park. And I tuned in for about an hour or so and just really tuned into the language of the birds. And when we tune into the language of the land, meaning Mother Gaia, Mother Earth, oh man, the Great Mother. I mean, there's so many names and labels to connecting into this energy, and it's not always feminine. Sometimes it's masculine, right? But regardless, the ground that we walk upon, whether it's concrete or grass or gravel or dirt or water or clay, it speaks. It's always speaking to us. And it's up to us to open up that channel to hear and connect with these energies that are actively communicating with us all the time. So I want to start off with nature, the language of the land of nature, and then the language of the land in a city, in a concrete jungle, right? Everywhere that we rest our head and our bodies, everywhere that we walk, okay, is speaking to us. The ground is speaking to us. So there are different dialects right? In this mystical, magical language of nature, of the land. I'll just say the land, just to simplify it. You have the language of the birds. You have the language of the chipmunks. You have the language of the cows and the horses, dogs barking. The language of the animal kingdom. Going on around you. That's the most apparent and the most, what makes us feel at home in a way. Sound is, I think, the very subtle ingredient of that feeling that makes us feel at home, that makes us feel comfortable. It's not always just the smell of a home or the comfort of your blankets or that fire burning outside, right, in the backyard. It's the sounds. I think that a home without sound isn't really a home, it's a place, right? So then you have the language of the elements. You have the language of the water, all right, the sounds of water. You have the language of the fire cackling. You have the language of the rocks, the gravel beneath your feet speaking to you. You have the language of the wind howling, right? There's different ways of reading that wind energy. There's different ways of reading the fire energy through sound, and reading the water energy through sound, and the earth energy. Everything is always speaking to us. And I feel like the main block is our ability to open ourselves to the language that's around us, right? And even in the language of the land in the city. I lived in a city with over, I think, 5-6 million people. And I lived in the valley, so there was Phoenix. I lived in Phoenix, Arizona, but there was, it was a metropolitan. I mean, there's millions of people zooming in and out. And I lived in a studio apartment on the second floor. And a lot of the time, at the very beginning of my day, I would get up usually very early in the morning, but I could tell by the pace of my neighbors walking across the balcony how much stress they have, how much urgency they have in that walk, or how relaxed, or depressed they are, just by like gauging the speed and the sound of their walk. Are they shuffling? Is it high heels? I would just pick up a lot of information. And then there was this gate that you had to put in a code to open, and even that gate would go, all the time, sometimes on a Friday night. Man, very, very busy energy. And on a Sunday, it hardly opened. It was a very still type of energy. So if you do live in a heavily populated area where there's a lot of noise and beeping and shouting and life happening around you, pay attention to that as well, because it's speaking to you. Everything is speaking to us. Another example would be like how hard someone would hit on their horn, in the early mornings, even at night. You have sometimes in the city you have someone drunk and shouting out, or someone singing or laughing. It really, music is happening around us all the time, and it's affecting us all the time. And then you have people, and there are some people who truly resonate with the energy, the hustle and the bustle of the city life, of the concrete jungle. That's where they're meant to be. It makes them feel alive. Hearing, if you live above a cafe and you hear the, of a coffee maker, or you hear a chime of a door opening, like it makes that gets your energy flowing. I don't think nature is meant in the land of nature, the language of nature. Sometimes it just doesn't resonate. Sometimes people get freaked out by the silence, or the birds chirping, or the wind howling, or the fire cackling, or crackling, it's very interesting when I talk to people about their experiences and their preferences of where they want to live. So, but sound is a huge indicator. So, as you can see here, we have the energy of the triad, 1, 2, 3. Now I pulled this, I asked Source, I was trying to connect with the energy of the wild boar. And it was there, but it didn't really fully come through. The wild boar is one of my my guides for the earth energy. So, but this is very feminine to me. I look at this and I see womb. I see womb of all creation, and to understand, to understand, to interpret the language, the womb of the land takes non-attachment, non-judgment, non-resistance, and a willingness to be humble, to really open yourself up. To my females, women who have an organic womb, and you can have anything there, really. I might, hope no one takes offense to that, but women who are, who have a womb and you're shedding your life waters once a month. I think one of the most powerful things that will really help you connect, not things, but powerful practices, is when you shed your life waters, you collect it and you take it out around moon time, preferably like new moon or full moon, and you return it back to the earth. Now, this is a practice. This is a very ancient practice. Women have been doing this for millennia. Seriously, it's a very ancient practice. Nowadays, we will have tampons that soak up all of this energy. We'll have synthetic products that we use, and it sucks up all of this beautiful energy, and it's very sad how we treat the shedding of life waters, because it's something that is so natural. Think about it. Think about the nutrients. Think about what's in the sacred water. Think about what the land has provided you. The land has provided you clean air to breathe. That's that wind energy. The land has provided you with food to eat, whether you eat meat or you eat vegetables. It doesn't matter, right? The land provides you the food. The land provides you the sun and the heat from the sun, that light from the sun, right? That fire energy. The land offers you water to drink, clean water, right? So you have all these elements that we receive from the mother, and that feminine energy, we can release it. We can release the life waters from our womb and return it back to Mother Earth, right? It's a very, very beautiful practice that I've started doing, I think, for the past 2 months. And for a long time, I grew up in the Islamic faith, where, women who were, on their menses, that were shedding their life waters, it was really frowned upon. You couldn't pray. You couldn't make salah. You couldn't participate in anything, like fasting. You couldn't do anything. You were I don't want to say shunned, but and it's not just in the Islamic faith, but many women were we were taught, hey, if you're on your menses, if you're shedding your life waters, you need to not partake in anything spiritual and anything religious, because you are unclean. And it's taken me a long time to switch that programming and to really understand what that means. You don't have to create some, exotic, very lengthy ritual to do this. All you have to do is have a strong intention of returning what was given to you in any way, like water, food, shelter, the nutrients, sunlight. All these things are given to us. Yes, we have to go out and pay, for some things, but we don't have to pay for sunlight, right? We don't have to pay for air. We just Breathe in. When we go outside, we just look at the sun, close our eyes, and absorb that light. So why not give something that's leaving your womb back to the mother? We take her blood every day, whether it be the water that we drink or the oil that we put in our cars, our vehicles, our gas guzzlers. Oil is black gold. It is the black blood of the earth that humans, we suck up. And we women, woo men, we can return this as an offering back to the mother and be amazed at what you're able to perceive and feel when it comes to communicating and listening to the sound, to the music of the land. The land will tell you if you belong or not. The land will tell you. The land will show you. When it's time to go, the land will tell you, show you. When it's time to stay, I kid you not, I'm at this point in my life, anywhere that I go, any new location, I know within the week how long I'm going to stay. Usually, I can gauge if it's going to be a short-term venture or a long-term venture. It's very interesting. But connecting back to the hike today, just the three of us, okay? So we had a mother, the daughter, and myself. And, we're all connecting to the water and the stream and the sound. And, I find that anytime that I go, I disconnect from the Wi-Fi energy, I disconnect from the phone. When I go on hikes, I don't like to take my phone with me unless I'm recording or taking photos or something, but I really prefer to just go into nature and return home, return to the temple. Nature is sacred to me. It's a sacred temple that we can visit. And I was listening to the run of the water, and I immediately, when I saw the water, I was like, oh my gosh, I have to put my feet in. So I put my feet in, and the water was icy. I mean, it was pretty cold, but the amount of the energy of just it, and the stream, was going, it was going downstream, and it was, I felt like it was just pulling away a lot of negativity and a lot of the heaviness of the world, just sucking it all and just taking it down the stream. Like it was so healing. And then we walked some more down the path, and I sat on the rock, and I balled up, and the warmth of the sun was hitting me, and the sound of the water. It was just so healing. And usually when I'm with other people, sometimes it's a challenge for me to stay engaged in if there's any conversation, because I get to a point where I just stop talking and I just listen. I just stop speaking using my human tongue to communicate, and I connect with what's there, and I become even more present and more present. And when thoughts carry me away, when ego comes to visit, it's just so much easier to communicate or to observe what's going on in your mental body when you go into nature, and back to the understanding the language. If you live in a city, if you live in a metropolitan area where there's just a lot of human activity, and there's some nature, I mean, obviously, but you can also tune into the energy of the city by reading the energies of people. I find reading the energies of people in a city is if you practice this practice, it's much easier to gauge the type of energy in a setting, because you're surrounded by humans all day, pretty much. And so it's very, very interesting, especially if you live in an apartment setting, like the things that are taking place next door to you, underneath you, to the left and right of you, or maybe above you, it impacts you as well. let's say someone's playing beautiful music, or someone is making love to their partner, or someone is having an argument, or you hear a dog barking, you can really tune into the let's say, for example, dogs barking. You can tell the by the sound of the bark, the urgency, the stress, or the excitement in the bark. You can tell, so you can pick up so much when you choose to listen. So that's, what I really wanted to share. And so tuning into the womb of all creation, our land, and being in the space of non-resistance. When the land says it's time to go, it's time to go. The land will show you through the people that also live on the same premises as you. The land will show you through, how it affects you, like your car, your mood, storms, nature, animals. Like, everything is always communicating with us, and it's just up to us to open to that line. And I think and feel that for the human collective, really connect to the land where you're at. If you're feeling very overwhelmed or just drained all the time, it's very interesting, if you choose to do this type of energy work. I'm going to share something very, very personal with you. So the last time I shared, or I offered my life waters to the land, I went on this little hike up a hill, and I live in a very dry climate, and so it can be very uncomfortable when you're trying to breathe through your nose, and very dry. But as I was climbing up the mountain, I was almost to the top, I felt like a slight pop in my nose, and then I started bleeding. I started having a nosebleed. And and this was the day I was offering my life waters to the land, and I started bleeding, and I bled for several minutes, and then it finally stopped. And it dawned on me, you have your life waters. Women have their life waters that we shed once a month, but you also have vital waters. Life waters and vital waters are two very different things. Similar because it's blood, but the way that it's shed tells you, okay? Life waters is something natural, organic, and it's meant for release, right? To create space, letting go of the tissue, letting go of those enzymes, those proteins, the thing in the blood, and all of that, to release it, to begin anew, right? Vital waters is something you want to keep inside your body, right? You never ever want to release vital waters, meaning to induce blood, cutting yourself or pricking your finger and offering that type of blood, because that is going against, I find, something so natural and balanced, and you're not really making an offering. It's more of a sacrifice, and you have to be very, very heartful and mindful when it comes to these very two different experiences. So anyway, that happening simultaneously. So I didn't release my life waters yet, but I was pitching my nose, and I just sat there. I'm like, oh my gosh. It's like the land was telling me, hey, your time here is up. The longer you stay, the more the vital energy in you and what you're trying to do will bleed out. It will die. This is not the way. Your time here is coming to an end. That's how I took that. And at first I was like, oh my gosh, it's bad energy. Oh, no. it took me several minutes to finally like understand, like, oh, my vital waters are being released at this very sacred moment right now. And I'm like, wow, that's what's happening. And lo and behold, I'm following through with this natural call to depart from the land, because it's time, right? It's time. So woman to woman, I will say, those who don't have a womb, you can still connect, with this type of energy. I find that if you are, and this is, and some of this has come from watching this other YouTuber, this very wise woman, who also lives in a desert. Her name is Sika, and she's part of the Zen Wombs tribe. And her suggestion was, to use someone else's waters. But I find that for me personally, intuitively, I use your own. And if you're in a point in your path where you are in menopause, or you can't, right, or you don't have that ability, I would just use water. Really, I would sit and meditate with the water, talk to it, bless it, write intentions on it, speak to it, and let that be a replacement for life water. Because I just find that any type of sacred practice with life waters of the womb is something that should come from you personally, because it is very potent, and it holds very potent energy, and your intentions have to be on point, especially if you're wanting to use someone else's. So regardless, all due respect to that way of doing it, but it's a very, very personal thing, and so a personal practice. So I really would highly recommend women to do this practice, and men to use water as a way of giving back to the earth what we've been given. I think that creates a lot more balance. You do it once a month. And so, you make your own way of connecting. This is just a suggestion with connecting and hearing the language of the land. I also ask that you try listening to the birds. Birds are natural communicators. They're organic communicators. They will sing certain songs in certain pitches, and they'll repeat certain things over and over and over again. And it's just a very beautiful experience. So I highly recommend that. When you are connecting to the language of, let's say, the elements, truly connect with the sound of fire, connect with the sound of water, and I think that the easiest way to go about this isn't just listening to like an audio or a recording of fire and water and wind and earth. I think it's more beneficial if you make this practice present as possible. So go in your backyard, make a bonfire, and just sit and listen. Close your eyes and listen to the fire. Listen to the spirit of a fire. When you go out to a stream or to a lake or to a beach or a river, listen to the currents, listen to how it crashes against the land, the bank. It will speak to you. When you listen to the wind, especially on a very windy day or during a windstorm, listen to how it howls. Is it shaking your windows, your window panes and your doors? Is it blowing the trees against your window as you sleep? What is it saying? The earth can be a little bit tricky because you walk on it, right? But the earth can be how your physical body, the sound of the earth can be how your physical body is connecting with the earth beneath your feet? Are you walking sluggish on the pavement? Are you walking sluggish in the ground? Or are you walking with pep? You know, connecting really with the rhythm of with a certain beat, you know, a certain type of energy in your step. Are you, you know, you can connect with the grass and connect with the concrete and connect with things around you and how it makes you feel just by listening, you know. I think that there's power in organized sound and music and chanting and mantras. I really believe that and the magic of that. But, you know, just I'm asking you to challenge yourself, because sometimes you go out in nature and there's so much going on in the mind that it can distract you. You know, sometimes the heat from the sun is so much, you feel so hot, or the water's too cold, or you keep, you know, running into twigs and sharp rocks, you know, or the wind is just, you know, blowing your you know, your food or your drinks over or something like that. Like, all these things can kind of distract us, but it can also tell us something as well if you only look and listen. So that is a wrap. I think I'm going to pull 3. I'm going to pull 3 additional runes. What do we need to know about the womb of all creation for the human collective? What do we need to know about the womb of all creation for the human collective? Okay, chaos. Manifestation. Ooh. And the star of healing power. So this is the star of healing. Star of healing. Okay. This is chaos, or a lot of energy. You see that? Magic, energy manipulation. And then we have the full moon energy that we just left last week, but the ability to manifest. So tuning into the language of the land, this is the possibility for us at this time. Whenever you receive this message, if you receive this message this week, great. If you receive this message 6 months from now, great. If you receive this message 5 years from now and it resonates, perfect. In my spiritual practice, the concept of time is released. When I'm in meditation, I tell myself, time is an illusion, time doesn't exist, right? Anytime you're entering any kind of meditative state, whether you're in your room, your eyes are closed, or you're in nature listening to water and feeling the heat from the sun, listen, you're entering into the space of timelessness, of infinity. And training yourself to believe in that takes a practice, a lot of repetition. It is a very strong, the concept of time for the human experience is a very strong program, because in one aspect, it helps us to organize the chaos, right? It helps us to manifest. You know, time is a very masculine thing. However, we are being asked, human collective, and I see an image of the wild boar, okay, to tune into the intricate and beautiful and multilingual energies that are taking place around us. Tune into the music of the land, tune into the sound of the land, and you'll have access to other aspects of your reality. I'm going to leave you with that. I hope this message find you well. Thank you so much for listening. Please visit my second channel called Sounds of Silvertree. This channel is called Runes of Silvertree. If you would like a personal reading with me, please let me know in the comment section below, or send an email or a message to my email address, silvertree@silvertree.com. You can also reach me at on my website, silvertreesounds.com. Thank you so much for listening and sharing this beautiful message. Thank you.